This video will be covering system of nonlinear inequalities and how you graph and shade. All right, so the first thing you're going to do is name what the two shapes are. So for this first equation, x squared plus y squared is less than or equal to 16. Hopefully, you would notice that that's a circle with radius of 4 inches. And then for the next equation, that's just a linear equation. You would subtract x both sides, and that would give you an equation that looks like this. For the circle, notice that it has x squared plus y squared is less than or equal, so that's going to be a solid line. I should put this. When you graph it, it will be a solid line. And for the linear equation, that will be a dashed line because the inequality is less than with no solid line. Okay, so when we graph the circle, each radius, the radius is 4, so we're going to go up from the origin. The reason the origin is, notice there's nothing in the parentheses with the x or the y. That indicates that that circle, the center of the circle, is at the origin. So I drew the circle right here, right? And now I'm going to, well, I could go ahead and shade it right now. This is saying is less than or equal to 16, which when you draw it, you want to, remember when we draw the circle, it's the radius that we care about. So as we're looking at the radius, well, here is the radius of 4. Here's the radius of 4. Here's the radius. Here's the radius of 4. And everywhere along here is the radius of 4. Well, where would be a radius less than 4? Well, less than 4 in all directions is on the inside of the circle. So you shade everywhere and that touching the circle. So I guess I could draw a highlighter on the outside touching that. So that's what, when you've got a circle and it says less than or equal, you shade everywhere on the inside. If it said greater than or equal, you'd shade everywhere on the outside. All right, so then let's go ahead and draw the next. This now says y is less than negative x plus 4. And we're going to use a dashed line. And where do we start? Right up there at 4. And I already went ahead and did that. So right there at 4, there's our dashed line. Now, this says y is less than. So I'm going to, in a different color, I'm going to look right up here on the y-axis. Where the y value is less than 4? Well, down here. But it's down everywhere underneath. So you're going to shade, the green shading is for this inequality. The yellow is for the circle. And notice where they overlap. Here, I'll do this in red. Where they overlap is this part of the circle. Not that one sliver right there where it's just yellow. And where they overlap, it doesn't touch the outside of the circle. It's just everywhere on the inside that meets the two criteria. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of that. We're going to do one more. I'll cover all this stuff. So now we have x squared plus y squared is greater than or equal to 25. Well, that's a circle again with radius 5. X plus 5 is less than 5. So when we solve that, we're going to subtract x on both sides. So when we draw that circle, but now this says that it's greater than or equal that the radius is. So if we look at the radius right here, well, greater than 5 is out this way, greater than 5 of a radius. In fact, remember, everywhere on this circle, there's a radius of 5. So everywhere on the outside, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. Everywhere on the outside of the circle, And technically, we're touching the circle because it's greater than or equal to. So I'll try to kind of touch the circle. There. So that would be the shading of the circle. So then we're going to draw, again, this will be a dashed line starting hollow dot at 5, down 1, over 1, and I went ahead and, oh, and the one thing that I forgot on this other one, I'm going to go back in a second. And now this says y is less than, again. So y is less than, again, everywhere down below. And now this time, the solution set looks something like this. The thing that I forgot to tell you is where the two lines intersect. So right there at 5, 0, and right there at 0, 5, you need to make sure you mark those things. Over here, right there at 4, 0, and at 0, 4. Okay, so now we're going to have a different type of inequality. Here we have y is equal to x squared. Well, that's just a parabola with a solid line. So that parabola is going to sit just like that, right? And the next one is, so we would say parabola, okay, facing the positive direction. And now we're going to subtract an x on both sides. Well, that graph, so we're going to have y is greater than negative x plus 2. That graph is going to look like this. Right there. And let's do the shading. The parabola one, y is greater than. Well, if we look at the parabola and I look at the vertex, everywhere above the vertex is on the inside of the parabola. So I'm going to shade everywhere on the inside of that parabola, just like that, including touching the parabola since it's a solid line. Okay, and then on the other graph, let me change that to green. This says y is greater than. So everywhere above, so if I put my hollow dot right there, everywhere above that red line, because it's up here, right? So I'm going to draw vertical lines that look like this. And notice they overlap right here, and then where they intersect, whoops, I have that already right here. I did not mean to do that. Okay. They intersect at negative 2, 4, and at, there we go, and at 1, 1. And you would label it just like that. All right, that's it for graphing and shading systems of inequalities and labeling their points of intersection.